Well, welcome everybody to the latest edition of Favourite Bristol City podcast. We're in positive mood because we're just about on the edge of the playoffs now. Yeah, it's the flicker is still flickering. Fortress Ashton Gate, 4 successive wins. If you include the Plymouth game, then that's got QPR in that run as well. 5 wins, 1 draw, 0 defeats. So maybe Liam Manning was right when he said it's the home form that really matters. I'm joined today by Mark Tubby, Dave Tubby, and Paul Hunt. Greetings, gentlemen. I'll start with each of you. How did you feel on the final whistle? You first, Paul.
I thought City didn't do what they usually do, which is get on the edge of it and then we mess it up. We actually saw it through and got the win we needed against an injury-ravaged Blackburn side. Close game, but we did what we needed to do.
Fair enough. Mark Tubby, your thoughts on the final?
City are finding a way to win at home, and that's the great positive thing. Scrappy again, like against Derby. Played well in flashes, but they're finding a way. They build up some momentum at home. 4 successive wins, and against a team that are higher than them in the table. So that's a real positive thing.
So
a few errors, but let's be positive.
All right, and Dave, your thoughts at the final whistle?
Well, my gut feeling was that football will never cease to amaze me. In the first half, we were causing them massive issues with the press, and that was obviously a huge positive. However, with the ball, we didn't really do a lot with it, and it took far too long for one of our wing-backs to get crosses in, for example. In the second half, to begin with, we weren't really at the races, and I really thought that a Blackburn goal was coming. If you'd have asked me until we scored, it was the goal's coming, a goal's coming. When they attacked at pace. They were attacking with overlaps, and I'm thinking, come on, we've got to hold on here. The Williams change did bring something that was much needed, so thankfully for that. So yeah, here we are, 3 points off the playoffs, within challenging distance after extremely encouraging result. And you know, sometimes they say that a good sign of a team is winning playing poorly. Well, what does it mean when you close the gap on the playoffs without particularly being at your best for a few games? That can only be a real positive, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's 3 points off the playoffs. Arguably, when you look at the teams in 5th and 6th, West Brom and Borough, they've got goal differences of 13 and 11, which is 10 and 9 above where we are. 10 and 8 above where we are. So it's really 4 points. But, you know, what a massive game for Liam Manning next week against his former club, Oxford United, inspired by that manager that has always been a thorn in our side, whose name is escaping me at the moment.
Gary Rowett.
Gary Rowett, of course. Yeah, so what a cracking game that's going to be up there. Let's look at the lineup. Paul Armstrong featuring for the first time since early December, back from his injury. Was that a welcome return to the side for him, do you think?
Yes, yeah, he did a job, didn't he? In that first half, he won us the free kick that got the first goal. He was frightening their defenders a bit with his runs, and you can't just flog Naki every game, can you? Game in, game out. And the wing backs, he changed the wing backs as well. But the system we're playing, you have to freshen up the wing backs at some point. I know Tanner and Roberts probably isn't everyone's idea of a first choice or attacking option of wing backs, but he must see all this data, Manning, about fitness and stuff that we can't see, and that must play a huge part in team selection as well. Because he says he sat there for ages, didn't he, picking the team, staring at the magnets on the wall.
Yeah, those magnets. I've seen those. Dave, Tanner back from McCrory, Robert still playing on the far side, resisting the temptation to include Morrison in the team, well, in the squad, never mind the team. Were you happy when you saw it line up the way it did?
Well, there's a way to answer this. So, Mark, I'll ask you the 2 questions, okay? Where do you see Tanner's best positions? If you were to say his 2 best positions, what would you say?
Right back or right centre back, definitely.
Roberts, where are his 2 best positions?
Left centre back. I don't think we've seen him play left. We've seen him play left back as a sub. Definitely not left wing back.
And that's the problem. We have 2 players as our wing backs that are the most important players in this position,
Yeah.
What are we expecting them to deliver going forward? Because in my opinion, going forward yesterday, they offered exactly what we expected them, and they delivered to my expectations at the start of the game, which was essentially nothing.
Yeah.
So that was my problem with those two positions yesterday.
Yeah. Mark, we don't often talk about the opposition, but obviously we have to because there was Andy Vyman in there. We'll talk about his goal later, but good to see him in there. They lost a couple of players before the game, and I thought they were one of the better sides to play down here. Some skillful footballers. Dolan wide on the right, the young lad up front in the centre. What do you know about that Gay guy? Because he looked to be a lot of things that Armstrong isn't. Yeah, if we'd have had him up there instead of
he's a player that you can bring the ball into. You know, somebody who can hold the ball up, powerful in the air, getting flick-ons. And I thought they looked to get the ball wide. That's where they really targeted us rather than going through the middle. I think our weakness is down the sides, and that is an issue. If you're playing wing backs, they've got the centre backs need to stay tight. If there's space, if they're at a position, as we found before, there's a big hole there. But what they did was they linked the play very well. Nally got done by Dolan, and so did Roberts, as we'll come on to. But yeah, that's what they looked very good in the first half. And I think the goal was coming. Just touching back on Elijah Morrison, there was something on Otib that he may have been ill. I don't know whether that means how long that's been or whether that was just a one-off. But that may be one of the contributory factors for him not being in the squad recently. But I'd like to see him in the squad because I think he's a confident player who can play on the left side in defence and take the ball forward. He looked aggressive when he's played. But I'd like to see more of him. That's the problem.
Yeah, he certainly certainly should feature at some point, one would hope. Let's get into the action. Mark, you alluded to the first chance, which did go to the away side when Dolan skipped past McNally. I don't know where Roberts was there, but he went for glory, tried to drive it in near post in an Antoine Semenyo type style. But Armstrong's up there playing well, rolling the defenders a few times. He won the free kick. And I'll come to you first, Dave Tovey. I said to my guest, who was a defected Reading supporter, now watching Fasham Town. So he was there in a blue and white scarf. Yes, so he didn't realise Blackburn played in blue and white. I said, we're going to score here. And I've got everybody around me who knows that I berated Twine a few weeks ago saying, look, here we go. And sure enough, he stepped up and scored. We expect it now, Dave, don't we? Twine with a goal.
First of all, what got us to that point? Our press was really good in the opening 10 minutes. Yes, sure, Blackburn had the first chance, but we were looking to get it into Armstrong, who won the free kick. It should be pointed out by trying to drive it their defence. And we were putting them under pressure and winning, and we were really stress testing them. And in terms of the free kick, I think it's fair to say we have the top one in the world at free kicks right now. I've never had it in my life where you get a free kick and you're expecting a goal. And in cricket, 2020 was destroying the Duckworth-Lewis method. Twine is destroying XG. It is a worthless value with him because you're almost disappointed when he doesn't score. And I've never experienced that from a free kick taker before. And if somebody wants to show me better, please go ahead, because I don't think you can.
Yeah, Paul, what did you think? Were you expectant when he stepped up over the ball? I mean, it was in the Twine zone. Never mind the Twilight zone. It's the Twinelight zone now.
100%, yeah. I mean, John Eustace must have told his Blackburn players, don't do any fouls on this edge of the box, and they showed them all the videos of Twine scoring free kicks. But with Armstrong, they couldn't help but give away that one, and then the other one just after it. I mean, one thing to add about Blackburn, Eustace did say after the game that they changed their formation for the first time this season because of the injuries they had. So
right,
but he was just under pressure because of Armstrong. They had to give away the free kick, and everyone knows where the ball's going in the ground, don't they? And the players all know where the ball's going. They still can't stop it.
Yeah. Do you think keeper should have got down because it didn't lack power, or was it just total position? You next, Mark. But Paul, your thoughts on that?
He's just too good, isn't he? The keeper must have knew where the ball was going. He just couldn't get there because of the technique. Yeah,
Mark, come in with your views on it.
It's a great pass by Twine to play in Armstrong, and he's done Danny Bath. Bath, I think, aging player now, played for Wolves against City. I remember when he got sent off for a bad foul on Bobby Reed in that game where we lost 2-1 right at the end, and he played for Stoke since, probably past his time. But it's Ainsley Pear's positioning, because he moves to his left, and it's almost inviting him to play it where he does. But still, Twine hits it over the wall. It's almost in the side of the net, even though he's on the left-hand side, away from the goal. So he's to the left of the goal. Pear's, like I said, invites him, and a big, tall, strapping goalkeeper. But he can't get down. But it's almost in the side of the net. The technique's perfect, and it's a good distance for Twine. But it's a difficult free kick because it's not straight onto the goal where he's taken his previous ones, around the D. So he's probably looking at between, say, 23 yards. And, he does practice, though, so he doesn't just pick it up on the day.
Yeah.
But, technique's absolutely brilliant. But Pears, you think, should Pears have just stayed in the middle? Why did he move to the left and invite him to play it there? But Twine's technique, when you expect it like that, you expect it to be on target, don't you?
Another one of their players got booked, Mark, which I don't know whether it's for a foul on Armstrong, and that was Dion Sanderson. Was he making his debut for them yesterday, Mark?
I don't know. I know he's played. I think he was at Wolves previously, and I think he was also on loan at Birmingham City, wasn't he? I've seen him before down here. I think with Birmingham. I don't know if he was making his debut. He looked quite strong, bringing the ball out of defence. But they gave away lots. They had a couple of bookings in the first half, and there were loads of niggly fouls, winning lots of free kicks through Armstrong, and the usual fouls on Twine. And in the first half, Twine was well protected by the referees. Doesn't happen very often, but this time it was.
Yeah. No. As the half went on, we were doing okay. Paul, we had another free kick situation. It was more central, whilst it was blocked by the wall. That was a tasty follow-up shot Twine did as well in that, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. It was a groan, sort of an ironic groan, wasn't it? It didn't go in the back of the net after the first one. So because you almost expect it, don't you? Know, you think this is going in.
Yeah, it's not right, is it? It's not right, Paul, is it?
No, it's better than a penalty, really, isn't it? Almost.
Deserve the boo.
But
for them to give away two in short succession like that, they must have been under pressure, because that must have been the last thing they wanted to do, really.
Dave, your comment there.
This is what I was going to come to. It's the fact that the main highlight for me in the first half yesterday was the energy and the intensity in the press. And that second free kick was picked up because they tried to pay out from the back, because they were really struggling with that. And we got a free kick from it. It was by them trying to play silly football when it wasn't on. But because we had the intensity, we were able to make something of it. And sure, Twine missed the penalty, which is not really good enough. But just to get to that point,
you mean the free kick?
Yeah, that's what I was being sarcastic. But
I thought it was. I'd say it was a good game yesterday overall across the 90 minutes, and CHB. So average Joe is David's still not a fan of Twiney. Look, I'm a fan, but I'm a fickle fan. I'm always cup half empty, knee-jerk reactions, all the rubbish.
I came out of the ground, Dave, just to talk about that. Sorry to interrupt. Saw Mark Shale, and I thought Aidan Roberts hadn't played bad, and I'm thinking I'm really leaning on Twine because I want him to play better. And he said, we gave the man of the match award to Scott Twine. Don't you think he was good today? Yeah, great. Cheers, see you. Like that. That was it. That was the fans' man of the match.
I mean, I put in my final piece that there was some good individual performances and some not so. And let's talk. I'll come to you first, Dave Tovey, on this. I thought in the first half, in particular, Zach's distribution from the back was questionable. Dickey looked very ponderous. McNally, to me, despite getting outstripped by Dolan a couple of times, he looks the pick of those three defenders now. And on the half hour, or 33 minutes, I'm reading your notes now, Dave, we had a Max moment, didn't we? Which wasn't entirely, was it his fault? I mean, but we were just doing this, I called it horseshoe football, to you, to me, to you, to me, to you, and then bang, long, and nobody on the end of it. But, Max, was that Max's fault when there was that mix-up?
There was the two things you said. In terms of the defenders giving the ball away, I mean, it is frustrating, but it's also a combination of, when you've got your fullbacks pushed high up without actually threatening to push on, you're asking defenders constantly to be playing these longer passes, and it almost becomes this game of chess where they're trying to pick it out, where their team's trying to pick it up. And as soon as delivery isn't perfect, bang, they're onto it. This comes with the issue with the formation. You haven't got players where they need to be doing certain things. And the defense distribution is not good enough to play the way we want to play. So what you get is long periods. I mean, there was like between 20 and 30 minutes yesterday of nothing. How many times did our wing backs get crosses in? I can only think of Roberts once in the first half, which we'll probably come to later. And it comes to the point that if there's nothing on the table, eventually your defense tries to force it. And you know how a home ground can be. If you're seeing the passes, you may or may not get a groan at a certain point, and then you look for something that's not on. And I don't think the distribution was good, but I don't think they're being helped by how they're being asked to play. And in terms of Max, I mean, I get it. Players, you back yourselves. As footballers, as any sports person, you back yourself. But how many times have you got to see this mistake before you realise this is not a good idea to do it when the big press is on? It's ridiculous.
Okay, Paul, did you have your heart in the mouth moment then? Because Blackburn was starting to get back into the game at that point.
Yeah, it took me all the way back to Ewood Park earlier in the season when he did the same thing, didn't he? Put it out to the middle when the person's under pressure, and then it just all collapses. You think of all the teams to do it against, that was his major mistake, and he'd done exactly the same thing, didn't he? I mean, Dickey he's been ill, hasn't he? He doesn't look like he's recovered from his illness to me. I know someone else has put in the chat here the same
is he
thing.
over his illness? Yeah, Alan said that. Is he over his illness? Well, we don't know. We'll never know.
Yeah, but every time he puts that ball in there.
And if there is a question mark about his fitness because of the illness, it's not like we can't leave him out because you just move Tanner into that role and bring McCrory in at right back. Mark,
I think those three, Viner, Dickey, McNally, I think Manning, that's the basis of his team. They're the first names down, and then he works out everything else from that. And he doesn't really want to change it unless Dickey's on his deathbed, I would think.
Do you agree with that, Paul? Do you think that's the right way to go?
I agree with those three being the strongest, but I think we recruited for a different formation and we haven't got the wing backs to add to those three to make it work. So if we're going to stick with that, then we need to get some genuine wing backs in.
Well, we recruited for a 4, and whichever way you look at it, with Pring out, we do not have a left back. There is no coverage in there. And whilst nobody would welcome signing somebody like, come to you, Mark, nobody would welcome signing Darling as a central. Is Darling a defender or what? Where does Darling?
I think Swansea fans are questioning that as well. No, he's a central defender.
Well, I mean, we don't want another central defender. We let one go out on loan. If we went out and signed a specialist left wing back now in what's left of the transfer window, which shuts on Monday, the 3rd of Feb, if we got a left wing back, nobody would argue with that as an addition. And let's be fair, people keep saying we need a striker. We're still in the top 10, I think, for goals scored in this division. Let's go on to their goal, Mark. Tubby, you first on that. It was again Dolan outstripping Roberts, acres of space, puts in the cross. Should it have been better defended, Mark?
Roberts didn't put any pressure on the ball. Dolan's got his back to goal. I think he tries what he does. He goes to the byline once, turns, and then goes back again. Roberts should attempt to try and tackle him, and he curls a beautiful cross in. Now McNally and Dickey, the defenders, are at the near post, and it's actually Tanner that Gay gets over, and he heads the ball onto the left-hand post, and it goes right across. O'Leary's totally bemused because he doesn't know where the ball is. It's behind him, and Vyman just heads it into an empty net. Now, I've wondered if Vyman was offside, but I don't know if he was played onside by players on the right hand side of the goal. But nobody's questioned it. I haven't seen anybody post anywhere. Was that goal offside? I think everybody's accepted it must have been in line or onside.
Mark, I've seen the screenshot. He was definitely onside.
Yeah.
He was definitely.
I thought originally that he moved forward as Gay headed the ball. It was a good header. He headed it right down. A typical forward, head the ball down, make it hard for the goalkeeper, to save it on the floor. but it hit the base of the post, but it flew back up, inviting the environment. I mean, to his credit, he didn't celebrate it. He ran away with his hands down, didn't celebrate it. And there's been some sort of consternation that some fans in the South Stand were clapping him for not celebrating. And there's, you know, this thing on OTIB's talking about, clapping a pan. What a load of rubbish, honestly. You know, big fuss about nothing. He didn't celebrate the goal, but he did what a poacher does.
Yeah, no, he did. No, it was a poacher's goal. Chance. Dave, should that goal have been better defended, in your opinion?
Well, if we go back to the Sheffield Wednesday goal, I was quite critical of Knight for giving himself up too quickly. But the thing I think I missed there is that he was out to address the issue at speed. With Roberts, it's almost like he plays with the swagger and the perception that somehow he's a number 10 and that he's got time and space, and if he doesn't quite give enough effort, it's going to go past him. Now, that's probably an unfair perception, but that's what his body language gives off. And it was far too easy, the way that I think it was Dolan went round him and put the cross in. It just wasn't, it's harsh to say, but like there wasn't enough effort there. It was just, oh, he's done a piece of skill and he's gone past me. And you need much better from your fullbacks in that position, or your wingbacks even, because, you know, for all we try to change football, for all it's evolving, it still comes down to the fact if you put a good delivery into the box and you've got someone that can compete in a strong way, chaos happens.
Yeah.
And, you know, the goal comes from that, essentially.
Yeah. Paul, your thoughts on it?
I thought, Roberts was at fault. I mean, I think he had his best game since he's come back in the side, but that was a low bar to get over for him. Yeah, it was too easy for him, wasn't it? And then I don't mind if these old players celebrate when they come back and they're playing for a different team now. It don't really bother me, but he's not that sort of character, is he, Wyman?
No, he looked. I think the general view of Wyman, the general view, just reading a few comments on OTIB, that he looked back to his sharpest, and certainly, you know, you take away that WSM season when he scored 22 goals. Yes, he's a good striker. Yes, he got to 50 goals at Ashton Gate, but that was a one-off. He's just a good, energetic championship striker that will get you between 8 and 12 goals a season, and he's done that fairly consistently. Sticking with you, Paul, and picking up on a point that Dave Tovey made, you know, you get quality crosses in, it causes chaos. We had a chance to take an interval lead just before that when Roberts did get to the byline and put in a cross that fell to Mehmeti. Pears saved it. Would Mehmeti have been disappointed with himself for not converting that one because it was inside the 6-yard box, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would think so. I can't quite remember the one. I'm trying to remember it. I mean, just going back to Wyman, when he left us for West Brom, he looked like he'd lost all that pace, and we probably thought his age, he's lost that running around headless chicken that his critics say, but he'd lost that energy, but he's got it back now. But I mean, there's another one when Mehmeti ran on and just got tackled when he probably could have laid it off. I don't know if that's the same one, but
no, it's the Roberts cross.
You come in on that one. You come in on that one.
It's basically Roberts crosses it, and it was in the 40th minute. It was our first cross from a wing back. Essentially, it's a really nice cross from Roberts. It goes just over Armstrong. Mehmeti, maybe he should score, but it is a good save. It comes up in the air to Armstrong to compete for, and their defender clears it. But Mehmeti maybe should do better than he does, but I think it is a good save at the same time.
Yeah, I think Pears gets his body in there. He hits it first time, more or less first time, with his right foot across his body, Mehmeti. I mean, the only other thing he could have done is brought it down and hit it with his left. I think he did that earlier in the season with another chance in an early game. But he hits it first time. Great save by Pears, but it spins right back up in the air, and the defender does well to head it off the line as Armstrong's coming in. Some people said, I wondered if Armstrong actually headed the ball over the bar, but the defender heads it over the bar.
It was those moments of chaos. It was one of those moments of chaos moments. Yeah. Hey, sorry, you were going to say something there.
Before we go any further, Mark, I have a question for you.
Go on.
You said that, no, sorry, Paul, wrong person, not to steal your thunder, but you can contribute too. Sorry, I'm trolling you. You said that you thought it was Robert's best game yesterday in a while. Why? What made you think that? Because I think pretty much, I don't think he was very good yesterday, but I wasn't in the stadium, so maybe you can see what I couldn't. What was it about yesterday's game?
Well, I don't think he was great. He was probably just about touching on what the minimum you would expect when I say it was his best game, because I think he's been pretty below par the previous games. That's why I said it was a low bar. So he's definitely played much better last season than anything he's played this season, including yesterday. So I wouldn't want to say he was amazing and he had a really good game, but there's just signs. It was a bit like
Signs of life.
Yeah, a bit like Fally when we look for little signs of little green shoots.
I got to read something here that Pete Thompson said. It's disappeared off there now. And Pete Thompson poses a question. Does Cameron's phone go pring, 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 pring? But there we go.
No, he's going to appear with Kenneth Williams.
And Cruisers Creek has said, is Peter Thompson deliberately posting shite just to get a reaction? But there
he put, wouldn't worry about him, Mark. It's going to be shut down after the 16th of March.
Yeah.
No, he's going to be in a new film with Kenneth Williams, Carry On Campering.
Yeah, Carry On Campering. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Dear, oh, dear. Okay, into the second half. And I think I texted you, Dave, that, I thought we were going to go a goal behind here. Blackburn were looking really dangerous. I thought we were in danger of being overwhelmed. I could see the clock ticking towards 60, the miraculous 60 minutes. And Twine was over with a rare break from pressure from Blackburn, but they only threatened half chances to Dolan and Hyam. But Dave, did you think Blackburn started that second half with some attacking intent, and we were in danger of being overwhelmed, or is that putting it too strongly on my part?
I think overwhelmed is slightly too strongly, but of the two sides, they were playing the more attractive, quicker, easier on the eye football, and they were moving through the lines at a pace that we just weren't. And granted, they may have had injuries, but you can see why they went on that run where they got themselves in and around the playoffs. You could see parts of it where they were threatening danger. Did they create much where you can say they should have scored? Not really. But at the same time, there were a few moments where they were like the final ball away. They were just away and it didn't quite fall for them, or we defended it well. And it was just that ticking feeling of a goal's going to come soon enough. A goal's going to come soon enough. In that moment, if you'd have offered me a point, I would have taken it right there. I did not see us getting a winner in any way. And it was just one of those, we've been there before. We've seen this story.
Seen teams dominate us like that. Paul, did you feel similarly? First 15 minutes up until the substitutions?
Yes. And I think Manning did as well, because he went 2 minutes early with his substitution. He was worried. But I think it's part of his plan, isn't it? Like starters and finishers. He's got these on the bench. And although we have a laugh about him bringing them on 60 minutes, that must be part of his game plan. Like, I'll unleash, depending how it's going, I'll unleash.
Release the Kraken. Yeah.
Yes. Can I just ask a quick thing? I heard a couple of people afterwards on the radio saying it was a great atmosphere in the ground, and I thought it was really quiet. But that might just be in the Lansdowne. It's so quiet I could hear the managers.
I totally agree with you, Paul, because I texted somebody. It might even have been you, Dave, and said, or maybe Neil Sutts texted me. I thought it was a very flat atmosphere. Here we were, we weren't losing. And you could almost hear a pin drop in the stadium. How did you feel about that, Mark? Did you feel similarly? You were in there.
We're very nervous, aren't we, as fans? And we need the play to lift the fans. It doesn't work the other way round. Apart from Section 82 and parts of South Stand, we just don't do it because we're almost scared for disappointment, and the fans are very, very nervous. So it's the wrong way round. The players need to lift the crowd rather than the other way round, apart from Section 82. So yeah, it's mostly flat, but I think it all reflects people's mood. It's a very moody stadium, isn't it?
Well, we're very moody fans, aren't we, Dave?
Oh yeah,
Dave Tuvey, you're not a moody person. I just want you to pick up on what Alan Gwinnell said on the text feed here. I said before, if you watch, this is Alan Gwinnell saying this. I said before, if you watch Knight and Burn when we haven't got the ball, they don't mark anyone, they mark space. And we were a little bit critical of Jason Knight against Sheffield on Wednesday night, that he was certainly lost his man for the first goal. But do you agree with what Alan Gwinnell said on that particular point?
I kind of think when you set up, you don't always necessarily go tight man for man. Sometimes you might identify a player that you've got to watch, but ultimately, if someone comes into your area, that's when you pick them up. And when you've got 3 defenders, one of them is going to be three. So if somebody goes past you, with the right communication, you kind of let them go. So I take what Alan is saying, but it's like, it's hard to say, is that a criticism or a compliment? Because if you look at yesterday, if you look at some of the clean sheets we keep, can you say that Blackburn had that many chances going through the middle yesterday? I don't think so. The issues were out wide. So I would say that whatever they were doing in that defensive middle structure yesterday was working at times.
Sticking with the subs, 58 minutes, Paul said it was Armstrong and Tanner going off. I mean, Tanner, as you said, Dave, on your notes, Tanner hadn't really done anything wrong. It was bringing on Mark Sykes on the correct side. Sykes had a good 20-odd minutes at Hillsborough on Wednesday night. Mark, Sykes, not to do with the match action, but strong rumours, as much as you can believe any rumour, that Stoke were interested in him. He's a player who's out of contract in the summer, although we have the right to exercise an option there. But, the timing of the subs and that Sykes potential move to Stoke, thoughts on?
I think he's a player he's more of an impact player, but there's been no consistency on that side, really to know who to start. He actually started the game, didn't he, on Wednesday? He was taken off in the 89th, 90th minute. We brought on George Tanner to play it safe. I was surprised he didn't start because I think he offered our best option. But I definitely keep him because I think he offers you something going forward. But then, is he a wing back or is he a number 10? Because I think he's a better number 10. But it goes back to this back three, and three defenders to cope with 1 or 2 forwards. You need that, and it looks very safe with wing backs, and then it negates our chances to go forward, and that's the problem that happened yesterday. Sykes is more inclined to be attacking, so that's what we needed.
Well, he get over the line more than more than Tanner will. And it was interesting. Somebody played back a clip on the forum this week of Manning speaking in the summer. Gets back to the recruiting policy of recruiting a 4 because he says if you play with a 4, it gives you that extra body in the middle of the field. But Paul, the substitutions are made and almost an immediate impact. I mean, Bird did one of those through balls that he's being encouraged to. Well, it's becoming a feature of his game. I wish he'd do it more. And Wells latches onto it. I mean, God, he's 35 in the summer. He's playing sort of like, a 24-year-old. I thought his chip was going to go wide before Britain intercepted. What did you think?
I thought it just didn't have... It was like a bit too loopy, wasn't it? I was never convinced. I thought they were going to get back. It was just a bit too slow and loopy, going up and over. I thought it was on target, but you could see the defenders were going to... Someone was going to get there and get rid of it. It just didn't have the pace.
Where do you watch it from, Paul? Are you in the south stand?
No, I'm in the Lansdowne, near to you. Behind the dugouts.
All right, but you're the Atio end of the Lansdowne, yeah?
I'm behind Liam Manning, giving him advice.
You're more. So you had a good view of it, Dave. I mean, what a pass by Bird and Naki. I mean, he showed that he still got it, didn't he? Did you think it was going wide though?
Well, just to come back firstly to the subs, because I just wanted to say something on the subs. Right. We've hit the point with Manning where there's no point in talking about not changing things up and not moving things around because he's not going to. So there's no point with it anymore. I think it's got to the stage where we have to recognise that as a squad, there is actually some depth to it. And what's going to happen is he's going to make these changes, and sometimes they're going to make the team better, and sometimes they're not. And with those 60-minute subs, it is literally simple as that. Some days he's going to do it and it's going to be, they affected the game. And other times he's not, and we're going to say, why didn't he do something? Because he's not going to do anything else. He's shown who he is, and you have to believe that's what he's going to do every time. And when you look at Tanner for Sykes yesterday, the sub made sense. It was needed to try and offer something more going forward. Wells comes on the pitch instead of Armstrong, and it leads into the point you're speaking about, the chance. You put Wells on and instantly you get a nice bit of movement. And this is the thing I want to highlight. We've got a player with Bird that's got absolutely exquisite passing range. He is able to pick anyone out. He sees a pitch in an incredible way, but we don't offer enough in enough different positions as a general point in a game, because we should be seeing more of those passes. Because in the last month, so many times I've gone, wow, what a pass. And I'm thinking to myself, I should be seeing more of this. And we just
the
don't
Plymouth
offer
one,
the
for
right
example.
setup.
Yeah, I mean, that was on. That was probing, wasn't it? The one through for Wells. And he does well because he gets in behind, and I think that's as much as he can do. It looked like it was going wide when you saw it front on. I mean, from my angle in the Lansdowne in W16, it looks like it could be creeping in, but it doesn't have enough.
Well, it didn't. So,
but it would have bounced wide. But that was when you saw it front on. But the changes were needed. But it was almost like Manning was playing safe by playing Tanner and playing wing backs. But I looked at Tanner's body language going forward. Sometimes he would come inside. He just didn't know what to do. Offer himself as an outlet. He doesn't naturally take on the fullback or his opponent down the side. He just looks very awkward going forward. It's not a natural position for him. As a one-on-one right back, he's up there with the best in the league.
Absolutely.
But going forwards, he just looks right out of his depth.
He's also really good at like supporting the play. So quite often, if you've got someone in front of him that passes it back, he's got a very, very good whip of a cross. But he's not the play. How often yesterday did you see him as the one that's gone, left his man? Never. You're asking him to do it's not in his repertoire.
You look at Ipswich. I mean, they were sort of playing Vindaloo football. We're going to score one more and having Leif Davis on one side and somebody else on the other and bomb down the wings. We haven't got players that do that and have the effects in the Championship.
You know what? I was watching a little bit. I was watching a little bit of Ipswich-Liverpool on Match of the Day last night, just out of my eye, and I was thinking, who's the name of that fullback that Ipswich had that destroyed us? You just mentioned it. Leif Davidson. Is he...
Leif Davis. They got him from Leeds.
Is he playing for them? Is he playing for them at the moment, or is he injured?
Yeah, he's still...
It's just you don't notice him because he's up against far superior opposition. Anyway, let's get back to the action. Paul, another double substitution, this time with a quarter of an hour plus extra to go. Bird and Twine off, and to back up the strength of the depth in squad, Williams and George Earthy coming on. Those two and the timing made sense, Paul, in your view?
Yes, yeah, bags of energy, wasn't it? Earthy had loads of... He brought the energy to the Sheffield Wednesday game. I think the main reason why we're higher up and we are on the fringe of the playoffs this season is this squad depth, because we've got the resilience to ride out some of these injuries that we haven't had in previous seasons. Like Blackburn, they've got loads of injuries, so their form has dropped because of it. But because we got a bigger squad, we can cover it more, and that's our incremental improvement that now puts us on the edge of the playoffs, I think.
I think
underestimated.
That's a very good point. And talking about squad depth and resources, because we are in a group of probably 6 clubs playing for 5th and 6th. It was interesting yesterday that, Middlesbrough have gone out and put in a bid for somebody, a striker.
Morgan Whittaker, I thought they'd signed him for 6
years. They signed, right, but they've gone out and bought Whittaker, which tells me one of two things. Either Latte Lath is going to get even more money, or the extent of Tommy Conway's injury is such that he's not going to feature. And they've gone out and made the sort of striker signing that a lot of fans say, well, we would need to make. There's a thread running on OTIB saying, come on, Mr. Lansdowne, splash the cash and get that striker. But let's move on to the goal, Dave. And
Can I say the sub first before you move on? I think that Williams coming on for Bird yesterday was one of the better subs, and it made sense in the context of the game. I love Bird. He offers so much going forward. But in that particular moment of the game, we needed to offer something more, a strength in the middle of the park, because we were like from the beginning of the half, we were under that pressure, and it was that ticking clock. And Williams kind of changed that pattern just by bringing that kind of energy to the game that you almost expect from a player that hasn't played for a few months. It was, I'm here again, I'm alive. And you could feel it in the energy he was bringing, and it was I wouldn't say it was a game changer, but it definitely had a huge effect on the trend of the game.
And Williams, he did make the difference on 77 minutes. It was an inch perfect pass. It was a Bird-esque pass, and Naki does what Naki seems to be doing well at the moment. Take us through that as you saw it, Dave.
Well, the pass from Williams, first of all, I believe he even wins the ball himself. Mark might be able to confirm that because he's the god at the goals.
Can't remember.
But once it goes through to Wells, you take a shot. Sometimes you enter the lottery and you win. You get a deflection and it goes in. The words that I wrote at that time were a goal, but it's undeserved, taking the lead here. I think we scored against the run of play.
Yeah.
But from that moment, it's about what you do next. And once we'd scored, we go on to have our best period of the match, where all of a sudden we're passing the ball around, we're moving, we're looking threatening, we're putting a couple of balls into the box. And it's amazing what a goal can do to a game.
Yeah. Mark, I'll talk about the goal. And do you agree with Dave's view? I certainly do that, after the goal, we were zipping it around in a way we hadn't done in the game until that point. But in a way, Blackburn had, certainly in that second half, when they were in dominance. But the goal, and we looked good for about 10 minutes until the closing 5, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting goal because Wells hits it with his left foot, gets a slight deflection from the goalkeeper, which takes it in. It pairs near post, so he's sort of done there by the deflection. But Naki, he's wide of the goal. Don't expect him to score from there, but he takes a shot with his left foot across the goalkeeper early. We were in the zone for about 5 minutes, pinning them down. Even McNally's playing up. We forced some corners. It was disappointing that we didn't get that third goal to really put the game to bed. But we were really in the zone and we were parked in their half. And Earthley was contributing. We were winning. It was like we were winning every single second ball because before the substitutions, we were really struggling to make an impact. But the game completely flipped on its head once they've been made and once the goal went in. But we really need to turn those periods of dominance into goals, David, because that's a slight failing. You've got to kill games off, as to win them more easily than give yourself butterflies when you go into injury time, like we do.
Yeah, Paul. A couple of people have put on various comments. Joe Williams. He played well in his season. He wanted to get his contract, which he got. He's been injured for part of this season. Somebody said Williams for captain and take some of the responsibility off of Jason Knight. And in his post-match interview, he certainly seems a guy he's got the bit between his teeth. He wants to play. Yeah. How did you rate his cameo yesterday and the goal?
Yeah, he helped change the game, didn't he? I wouldn't have him as captain because he's too. I know he's the enforcer, but sometimes he gets a little bit too hot-headed, and you want to let him off the leash.
Just quickly, Paul, he was captain. He was captain, though, wasn't he? He
Williams?
was captain before. Yeah, I think so.
Only standing, I think, wasn't he? Before, wasn't it Vyman and then Knight took it on?
Not sure.
That's how it's gone, I think.
But not in the Manning era. Sorry, Paul, you carry on.
Yeah, so he provides the energy and the drive, doesn't he? Sometimes when we're lacking, he can come on and he get them going. I totally see that. And he now provides us with an option. Like it said, Knight's looking a bit tired, and several people have said, and I'd agreed with that you can change him in and out. Because at the start of the season, he wanted to play all three, didn't he? In the 4-2-3-1. Well, I'm not sure that works, but
I think this is what's going to be interesting going forward, is because there is a depth to that squad. As Paul said, that feeling that the three defenders are the first name on the team sheet. Well, if that's the case, then all of a sudden you've got Bird, Williams, Knight. They all offer different things. And what do you want from your football team? And if you really do take out Bird for Williams, you're sacrificing a lot in terms of passing range in a game. So again, it's almost screaming out, you need to go to a 4. And at the start of the season, the solution was to push Bird more forward and have Twine, so we say, in that dreaded position that we don't talk about. But going forward, he's got to find a formation or make some brave decisions about who he wants to be in the side and where, because of the depth. And there's no one injured at the moment. So there are
McGuane, sorry, Dave, McGuane is injured. I don't know what the latest is on him because he had that concussion. He didn't make the squad again yesterday, but McGuane is the only one who's of them. Oh, and Pring's injured, of course.
True, yeah. Yes, kind of important.
I thought he said McGuane was fit again, and after the
he travelled with the squad to Wednesday, didn't he? So I think I don't know what the concussion protocols are. or he hasn't recovered fully. That's all you can expect, wouldn't it?
I mean, what you would expect is that McGuane would be on the bench in place of Naismith, because Naismith seems to be like what Cornick was, like the player that's on the bench but never going to get a game. I don't see.
That's weird.
Naismith.
I don't see the point. I don't see the point of that at all. Do you?
No. I mean, why not give that place on the bench to Morrison? You know, if you're going to have a player there, and that's, sorry about that, Cal, but it is what it is. Yeah. Dave, do you think we managed the game out well yesterday? I mean, I've got your notes here that Guaya again threatened with 5 minutes to go. We made that substitution as well on the 90th minute. McCrory for Roberts. We know Roberts hasn't been at his best, but putting a right-footed player on the left in the closing stages when your defence is relatively solid. So your thoughts on the very closing stages of the game, Dave?
To be honest, I think it's important to recognise that Blackburn are a good side, and they were threatening at the end. They had some heart and mouth moments. There were a couple of breaks where they had too many players breaking forward, and it was, please, something happened here. But I think we did okay at the end. And that sub was more, I think, of a breaking it up and just saying to McCrory, right, there might be crosses coming in or something. You just need to hold firm, forget going forward. So I think we were decent in seeing out the game, but they were also threatening at the same time.
Yeah. Mark, your comments?
There were three things that happened in injury time. Naki Wells took a loose shot when he didn't need to. Should have run the ball down in the corner.
True.
Gave it straight back to Pears. McNally made a great block from one player. I don't know if it was Gay. He blocks him quite close in with his foot. Great tackle. And then there was another cross that came in. The sub that came on for them was quite speedy. I think there was a header in the middle, and it hit a City player and looped up into O'Leary's hands. And then, right at the end, I think it was 4 minutes injury time.
Yes.
Then we closed it out and we went up their end. But we didn't. I don't think we managed that out as well as we could do. Blackburn still looked dangerous down the flanks like they had all game. But that tackle by McNally was superb bit of blocking in defence. But you don't need. I think that we did better. I think when we played. I can't remember when you played Luton. I think it might have been Luton, or was it Luton or Derby? We put the ball in the corner and stood on it. That's what we need to do. To stand on the ball.
We didn't do that yesterday.
Paul, you look like you were going to make a comment there.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Of course, they made a quadruple Lee Johnson-esque substitution, didn't they, towards the end? So they had fresh legs on. And Manning he went mental when Wells took that shot and didn't took it in the corner.
He went mental. I went mental.
Yeah. Well, he does. He's usually quite calm on the touchline, but you could see he didn't like that at all.
Yeah, and
so
talking about the subs.
Talking
about the subs, and we saw a quintuplet substitution from Mark Robbins in the Cup game, which made an immediate impact at the Carabao Cup back in August. But those four were on the bench, and I think they came on in about the 84th minute or something like that. But they'd been waiting to get on. I think if he'd have made those changes a little bit earlier, Eustace, and that's a manager that people, fancied him as a potential replacement when Pearson left. But I think he'd like to have got those four players on a little bit earlier than he did. So that's it. We won the game, 2-1. Final whistle goes. We all trudge away. We look at the league table, and it looks better. The next few games coming up, correct me if I'm wrong here, in terms of the running order, it's Oxford United away. And then a fortnight on Sunday, a midday kickoff, whoopie-doo. It's Swansea at home. Then I think we've got Stoke City at home.
On Wednesday, 12th, yeah.
That's right, on a Wednesday. And then who's our next away game after that?
It's Cardiff on Saturday the 15th.
Cardiff.
Friday the 21st. That's
Borough.
That's Mark Tubby's birthday.
Is that right? But it's also we got Borough at home. So some interesting games coming up. Saturday is the final game of the first batch of 4, which, if you remember, I said a few weeks ago, we got 20 games to go. We got a win 10, draw 5, lose 5, which is 2-1-1 times 5 across the way. We got a win at Oxford next weekend. Dave, do you think Liam might be tempted to make any changes, maybe start Williams? And do you agree with me, like they all are, it's a must-win game at the Kassam?
Well, After West Brom, before West Brom, well, I said West Brom was a must-win game. I'm never making that mistake again. I'm going to go for really, really like to win. You know, for the first time this season, or maybe the second, I feel like right now it's fair to say we're challenging. We are one of the teams in that pack that can genuinely make the playoffs. And the next 4 games, they will decide where we go. They are all below us in the league. They are games that if you do want to hit the playoffs, you need to be winning, maybe 3 of these. And ultimately, Oxford away, it's going to be a tough game. I don't know how they got on yesterday, but they've been in a decent run of form.
They drew. Oh, they've been in excellent form.
It's not going to be an easy game, but we've put ourselves in touching distance. Capitalize on it. As players, you don't. How often do you get these opportunities? Take it. You want to see a good away performance, which we haven't had in the last 2 away games from minute 1. You know, really go for this game and show that you, as players, that you believe. Because I have to say that from my point of view, if you told me that we'd be challenging for the playoffs and it would be these last few games, I struggle to correlate. But it's not about how I see it. I want to see how that they believe on the football pitch and that they go and take this opportunity. And yes, we should beat Oxford.
Okay. Mark, go on. You go next.
It's going to be very tough. You look at the home league table, and Oxford are 5th. They won 8 games at home, and their form since Boxing Day has been superb. 5 wins, 3 draws. Their only defeat being in the FA Cup away at Exeter. Don't know if they played a scratch side, but they've been very good. So a draw would be a decent result. I think we need to win to keep momentum going, but it's going to be tough. Like I said, 5th in the league table, 28 points they've taken from it. 8 wins, 4 draws, and 3 defeats. That's very good. Only bettered by Watford, Sheffield United, Sunderland, and Leeds. And you look at that home form table. I mean, it's crazy. Burnley have only won 6 games at home, but 9 away. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Paul, the Gary Rowett effect is certainly making a difference for them because they looked like they were going to be favourites for relegation at one stage, but he's come in and made a difference. He always seems to do well against us. Do you think we'll start with the team that finished or start with the team that started this week? No changes.
He might change the wing backs again, I think. And will he start with Armstrong? I think he might start with Armstrong again and bring Naki on. It's hard to say, isn't it? I mean, there's still a third of the season to go. And to me, it's one of the weakest leagues in seasons, I think, seeing some of the other teams, which is feeding into us having an opportunity. But nobody, I mean, Hull beat Sheffield United, Plymouth drew with Sunderland. There's going to be crazy results. So as long as we don't lose, I think we keep momentum, don't we?
And if you looked at Middlesbrough playing out from the back for Preston's winner, I mean, that looks even more comical than Matt O'Leary's party in the area with Flea Blackburn players. The amount of times that they had to clear the ball, Middlesbrough, it's an absolute hoop, the goal they give away, if anybody watches it. So it's not just us that has these problems, but it's going to be tough, isn't it?
Can I just say, I don't think it is a weak league as such. I just think it's really competitive.
Yeah.
We always say about the Championship that anyone can beat anyone. And I just think that it's a league where it is so fully based on little things. And if you do look at the last 10 years, there's been a lot of annoyance in there that we don't push on. But we've become this mid-table side that we expect to be better than the sides below us. We expect a certain position and looking up. And I think could you argue that the very top bit isn't as good? It's hard to say because there are 4 sides that are very, very good. So everybody is essentially in the middle fighting for 2 places. To me, that's not necessarily a weak league. It's just you've got a lot of teams that are as good as each other, and it's about which one grabs it. So I wouldn't necessarily agree.
Well, most times it's the 3 relegated teams all challenge again, don't they, for the top 6? The aberration this season has been Luton are now in the relegation zone after losing to Millwall. It's just you didn't expect them to be there. But that's it. I mean, they've got parachute payments, haven't they? So you expect them to be challenging. And Sunderland have built over the last 2 seasons. You expect that. You usually expect to see Norwich up there. They haven't been as strong this season. Middlesbrough always seems to have money to spend. So I think do we see it as weak league because we're up there?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean,
always
we've
arguments. I think it's more competitive.
It's competitive. I think that's putting a positive spin on it. I mean, I think the thing is, we've talked in this podcast today about a bit of a lack of atmosphere at Ashton Gate, and it's like we don't believe what is going to make us believe, because we've won these 5 out of the last home games. We've won them. Yeah, I think we've conceded 2 goals in the last 6 home games, but we're not feeling joy. I don't know. Are we
Can I try and answer?
What are we looking for, Dave? Go on. What do you to make us happy?
Performance. Because I've had to. I watched back a couple of podcasts that I've done with you, and it's like, why am I so negative? Even at home, like, look at the league position. Why am I not feeling the love? And it's like, what would it take from me? And I want to see a knock your socks off performance. I want to see something that says that's the team. We see flashes of it.
A knock your socks off performance against a decent team, because let's be fair, when we got Plymouth, they weren't very good. I'd love to see a knock your socks off performance on February the 21st when we play Middlesbrough, right? And we nudge them out of the playoffs, because that's who we've got to dislodge. We've got to dislodge West Brom or Middlesbrough, and that game on the 21st of Feb is crucial.
Well,
they're all crucial between now and then. But
I'll
that
give you
one
an
is quite
example.
decisive.
Against Sheffield Wednesday, the last, the first 60 minutes, the first 70 minutes was just not fun to watch. And the last 20 minutes is, oh, there you are. There's the side. That's the level that you're capable of. That's your ceiling. Yesterday, after we scored, all of a sudden the tails are up, the confidence is up, and it's, there you are.
Yeah.
To try and answer the question a bit more, first of all, I really think that the team is hamstrung by the formation and the players within the roles. It doesn't help them. It's like, what's your expectation? What would it take from me? A knock your socks off performance from players playing in the right position is what it would take.
It's very safe now, isn't it? With that, and I think there's not much fluidity to it. I think it's more to try and protect the team. But when you end up with 3 defenders marking 1 forward, nobody coming out from the back with the ball. Occasionally you see Luke McNally, Rob Dickey, but it's not like they're exchanging passes with the wingers. When Sheffield United started doing those split centre backs, those centre backs would take chances. Ours, it's like they're waiting for the lights to change. A busy road. They come to a halt, don't they? Yeah. Which is a waste of time, because if we lose the ball.
Yeah. Well, and neither of them went forward yesterday, because Dickey isn't himself, and McNally, he probably maybe feels that with Roberts he's a little bit.
I've said this before. I don't think you has really suffered from the change to a 3, because as a number 10 he's completely ineffective, where he was a direct a wide player on in the 3, and he offered something as an impact sub. As a 10, he just got lost.
Okay, guys, getting near the witching hour. I just want Paul. What's your quick word, Dave, and then a final word
Peter
from
Thompson
Paul.
and Don One have just highlighted something, that we are grinding out results and we're harder to beat. And this I absolutely acknowledge, and it's true. I just have this feeling that eventually these performances that aren't quite up to level will catch up with us, because I'm a football romantic at heart. It's like you build that momentum like you're onto something. Right now, that's just missing, and I'm not saying it can't come. I don't feel like it's there right now, and for me, it makes me feel a bit lost in what I feel I know about football.
Yeah, and Dave, just picking up on that point before we do come to Paul, that's how I felt towards the end of the season in that late run when we only lost 1 and we were demolished at Stoke on the last day. But if you take out the Southampton and Leicester wins, which were good wins, performances against top teams, some of the other results we had in that good sequence, I felt a little bit like I felt now, a little bit underwhelmed. Paul, final word from you.
It's psychological with the fans, I think, particularly me. Like, it's like a girlfriend you really love, who then keeps finishing with you and wants you back, and you're, hang on a minute, I'm not going to get burnt again. That's the feeling I have. It take a few more results to really, okay, I'm going to hope again. I'm going to believe. I'm going to start dreaming. But you just don't want to get hurt again at the moment. That's how I feel.
You've been watching it. You've been reading.
I think that's a very good. I think that's a very good That's a very good quote there, Paul. Right? I know your wife, Phoebe, and I'm sure she'll find that amusing. That's almost Ian Holloway-esque when he talks about the last bird on the dance floor at the nightclub, sort of thing. But there we go. Look, I need to wrap up. I got to say, I was watching something on TV Friday night. It was TV from 1978 when I was the right old age of 22, and they showed on there that thing with Richard O'Sullivan, I think it was Tessa Wyatt and Tony Britton, called Robin's Nest. Yeah, and I thought that would be good intro music. So those of you listening on Spotify, you'll have heard this because that's what the music is at the start, because Ashton Gate has become a little bit of a Robin's Nest because we're good at home at the moment. And as Liam says, if we're good at home, hey, who cares about the away games? You know what I mean? If we maintained the home form we've enjoyed over the last 6 games, if we maintain that over a season, we probably only need to pick up about 12 points away from home. So, hey, what do we know?
Literally, I know nothing about football right now.
All right.
And I know a lot about Paul's life.
Guys, it's time it's time to go. Great to have everybody on, everybody who's listened, up in the 300s again. I know you're not all on at the same time, but that's a great number Sunday morning. We'll obviously be watching expectantly if there's any transfer activity this coming week. I tend to think there won't be any, and then we'll be reviewing Oxford away at 6 o'clock next Saturday evening. But I'm going to say goodbye. Everybody else, say goodbye, not go silent like you normally do. Say goodbye to everybody. Mark, Dave, and Paul.
Thanks for the comment.